Evolution works in mysterious ways, and while natural selection has allowed some species to develop into the best versions of themselves, it has also led others down some very strange paths indeed. These are the worst animal evolutions in the world of natural history. Royalty of the cat family sounds like it should be an honor that should belong to the lion, given its regal reputation. However, the title actually fits the cheetah better, but not for a good reason. Today's cheetahs are an incredibly inbred species, making them extremely susceptible to fatal feline diseases. Based on scientific analysis, all surviving cheetahs may have come from a handful of post-Pleistocene ancestors. At some point within the last 10,000 years, they may have experienced a sharp population reduction, which drastically reduced their genetic diversity. And while cheetahs used to enjoy wide land distribution, they are now mostly limited to certain areas of eastern and southern Africa. Being the fastest land animal may make the cheetah's life seem like a cakewalk, but that's not really the case. For starters, the cheetah hunts during the daytime, relying on eyesight rather than smell to stalk its prey. If the chase takes too long, the cheetah stops. Its speed strains the cat's body and spikes its temperature, requiring it to take a long recovery period after difficult pursuits. Furthermore, the cheetah's bite alone isn't enough to kill a gazelle or antelope, and has to chase its target, trip it, and then bite its throat to either suffocate it or puncture an artery. And it has to eat fast too, as even a single hyena can steal a cheetah's hard-earned lunch. Speaking of, spotted hyenas are perhaps best known for their strange vocalizations, which sound a lot like laughter to human ears. In reality, these sounds make up a complex system of communication, and depending on intensity and pitch, can mean anything from a warning to a call for help. However, there's another thing that spotted hyenas are famous for, and it's hardly a laughing matter: their difficult and dangerous way of giving birth. Female spotted hyenas are larger, heavier, and more aggressive than males of the species. This explains why spotted hyena clans have a single matriarch in charge, and why females always outrank males in these groups. Interestingly, female spotted hyenas' genitals closely resemble penises, making them the only mammalian females to copulate, urinate, and give birth through the same canal. Yeah, you heard that right. Hyena cubs pop out through these pseudo-penises, and yes, it's exactly as painful and brutal as it sounds. In fact, a female spotted hyena's birth canal has a diameter of only 1 inch. It's also not uncommon for hyena cubs to suffocate on their way out, and it's said that only 2 in every 5 cubs survive this process. And it's not just the babies either. First-time mother mortality rates are very high in hyenas too. A cursory examination of a giant panda's daily routine makes it seem like quite a lazy creature. After all, it spends more than half of its waking hours foraging and eating, while the remaining time is reserved for rest and recreation. Unfortunately, a closer look at the panda's digestive system reveals that its life is far from ideal. Despite being classified as a meat eater, the average panda consumes 20 to 40 pounds of bamboo daily. But bamboo isn't the most efficient choice for it, diet-wise. As the panda doesn't have the necessary type of gut bacteria to break down the bamboo properly, it doesn't really get as many nutrients from its hefty meal as you'd expect, and around 83% of what it eats comes straight out the other end. Oddly enough, the panda's teeth, jaws, and wrists evolved over millions of years to be better suited for their peculiar dietary preferences. Furthermore, pandas' taste buds are extra adept at detecting bitter tastes too, which can often signify toxins in plants. Unfortunately, pandas aren't as talented when it comes to a different aspect of survival: reproduction. Female pandas can only conceive once a year, and males aren't particularly good at doing the deed either. Perhaps unsurprisingly, conservationists sometimes have no choice but to resort to artificial insemination just to keep the species going. Present-day sloths are a far cry from their gigantic ancestors. Roughly the size of a dog, these fur-covered mammals are among the slowest-moving animals known to man. In fact, they move so slowly that blue-green algae grows on them. While this helps them hide from predators, the presence of algae also makes the sloth's fur a suitable habitat for all sorts of insects and parasites. And their lethargic behavior matches their metabolism, which only performs at 40 to 45% of what their weight would normally require. Scientists still aren't sure exactly how slow a sloth's digestive system works, but the estimated time frame is astounding. It takes anywhere from 6.5 days to nearly 2 months for a sloth to digest a single meal. Interestingly, sloths are pretty good at swimming. Considering they spend nearly all of their time out of the water, however, it seems likely that they have evolved this ability to help them when they accidentally fall out of trees. Koalas are part of a very small circle of animals known to man who are capable of surviving a diet of eucalyptus leaves. While it's certainly an impressive feat, this marsupial also has some strange traits that aren't quite as awesome. For example, koalas are smooth-brained, meaning their cognitive skills aren't as sharp as most animals. Indeed, they are reportedly unable to recognize eucalyptus leaves, literally the only thing they eat, even when they're lumped together on a plate. You might even wonder why koalas bother eating eucalyptus leaves in the first place, as they are incredibly tough, highly toxic, and lacking in nutrients. Worse still, over time, koalas grind down their teeth trying to chew the leaves, and when they're totally gone, the koala just dies of starvation. Still, a koala's digestive system is designed to handle the leaves' toxicity, and they can even tell which types of eucalyptus are too poisonous to eat. However, since eucalyptus leaves aren't exactly great sources of energy, koalas move slowly and are typically awake for only 4 hours a day. Experts believe that having a colossal pincer helps fiddler crabs win fights and appear to be more viable mates, but this unique characteristic causes more problems than it solves. As University of Texas researcher Dr. Zachary Darnell tells Gizmodo, the large claw is metabolically costly. It hinders feeding because it is cumbersome for this task, and it reduces endurance capacity when crawling on the sand. Male crabs are both heat-stressed and hungry while on the surface, foraging and performing the claw-waving display. Interestingly, Darnell added that the bigger claw functions as the crab's thermoregulator, as its body heat travels to its major claw and dissipates into the air. And while having a disproportionately massive claw can be both a bane and a boon for the crab, being dishonest about it can land the crustacean in serious trouble. A fiddler crab replaces its lost major claw with a flimsier, toothless claw that's nowhere near as strong. The crab is then able to bluff its way out of fights by looking like it's capable of delivering a beatdown, unless a rival male actually challenges it, that is.
Come on, let's go.
With its surprising degree of intelligence, excellent camouflage skills, and regenerative abilities, the octopus seems exactly like the sort of animal that would take over the planet if humans were to one day suddenly disappear. Unfortunately, they're simply not built for world domination, literally or figuratively. Firstly, octopuses don't live very long. The lifespan of the average octopus can be placed somewhere between 6 months and a few years. Additionally, despite their impressive cognitive abilities, their lack of protective covering makes them easy targets for predators. Furthermore, the reproductive process straight up sucks for both male and female octopuses. Different types of octopuses disperse their sperm via a specialized arm called a hectocotylus. This arm plugs into their mate's mantle cavity, and in some cases, they end up losing it. It's all downhill from there too, as the male octopus either expires sometime after mating, or in rare cases is even strangled and eaten by its mate. And females don't have it much easier, as they lay large clusters of eggs before giving up eating entirely. Horses are incredibly useful creatures. They have a long history of being strong and reliable steeds for humans, whether for travel, athletic, or recreational purposes. Sadly, there's abundant evidence suggesting that horses actually got the short end of the evolutionary stick. To start, horses have highly specialized breathing systems to accommodate their respiratory needs, but this means that horses are obligate nose breathers, as they can't use their mouths to take in oxygen. Thus, any obstruction in their noses can easily kill them. Furthermore, an overworked horse can suffer from exertional rhabdomyolysis, which can cause muscle pain, muscle necrosis, and eventual kidney damage. Horses don't have the ability to vomit either, and the ability to throw up is crucial for animals to expel ingested poisons from their bodies. Moreover, given a horse can weigh up to 2,000 pounds, a simple leg injury can be lethal. As veterinarian Jenny Hall explained to The Guardian, a horse's leg bones are very strong, yet they're light for them to be able to go fast, so unfortunately, sometimes when they break, they just shatter. And because there's very little soft tissue around the horse's leg bone, a fracture almost always punctures the skin, damaging its nerves and blood vessels and causing tissue death. In most cases, horses that suffer from leg injuries have to be put down. In the forested areas of North America and Canada lives the Luna moth, a lime-winged creature whose only purpose in life is to reproduce. Of course, you might think that individuals of the species have to live long and receive enough nourishment to procreate with gusto, but not quite. As it turns out, adult Luna moths only have about a week to fulfill their life's mission, meaning they have no time for silly things like eating or having a digestive system. Adult Luna moths sport white bodies and pink legs and can have wingspans up to 4.13 inches. Moreover, a Luna moth's mouth parts are vestigial, in other words, they're useless. Instead, the moth relies on the baby fat it had as a caterpillar to give it energy. From the moment its pupal stage ends, the Luna moth pumps a blood-like substance called hemolymph to its wings to enable it to fly. Indeed, a male Luna moth can travel impressive distances to find its mate, with the mating ritual taking place a few hours past midnight. A female Luna moth lays around 200 eggs on a suitable leaf, which will hatch after about a week and a half, starting the cycle all over again. Hey, it's a living. Judging from looks alone, it may be hard to believe that a bird as small as the kiwi has some pretty huge cousins. It's true though. Kiwis are ratites, a diverse group of flightless birds that may have been around since the late Cretaceous period. Scientists aren't completely sure how kiwis came to be New Zealand natives, but the country's Department of Conservation lists 5 different species of the bird, which has come to be embraced as its symbol.
I love New Zealand. That's great. That's good information to find out. Lord of the Rings? Frodo?
Oddly enough, kiwis have traits that are more mammalian than bird-like. For example, the kiwi has a lower body temperature than most birds, with strong, heavy, marrow-filled legs, accounting for a third of its body weight. Moreover, female kiwis have 2 functional ovaries, unlike most avians, which just have 1. Kiwi eggs are also about 6 times larger than expected for a bird of its size. In fact, the pressure a kiwi's egg exerts on its mother's organs is so great it can eventually make eating impossible for the parent until it lays that egg. Unfortunately, the kiwi's size and flightlessness makes it an easy target for mammalian predators, particularly non-native ones. Worse still, recent studies have shown that some kiwis may be evolving into blindness, since their nocturnal lifestyles make actual vision a waste of energy. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.